Okay, we've got our Premiere Pro project booted up. We have our audio track folder and our video clips folder in, with our video files in here. Now over to the right here, we've got our timeline, which has no sequences in at the moment. It's a sequence that you actually use to edit your film. Drop media here to create sequence. That's one method, and a very easy method of starting up your editing process. Other methods include file, new, and then we can go down to here, and that will create a sequence. I find, and many other people find anyway, the best thing to do is to drag and drop. You can also right mouse click on the video clip, and you can come up to here and you can create a new sequence from the clip. Now this is a good method if you've already got other sequences in the timeline here, which we'll go into later. But what we will do is we will highlight this first clip. We will drag it over, and as you can see, it changes to a plus sign. We drop that in. Straight away you see the program monitor come up with the first frame of the clip, and of course you have the clip here in the timeline with the title here. Now let's have a look at this timeline. At the top here in blue we have a time code: hours, minutes, seconds, frames. If we move this bar across here, you'll see that it actually changes the timeline up here. So we move the playhead bar across. Not only that, but it also lines up with the timeline at the top of the time code, I should say, at the top of the timeline here. The next thing down is these tools. This one here, insert and overwrite, I wouldn't worry about that because that basically is a little more advanced, and we're going to that later. Snap to timeline, keep that in blue, highlighted in blue, because what will happen, and I'll show you an example by bringing in that same clip again, by grabbing that icon, and you'll notice that as I drag that close to the other clip, the end of the other clip, it snaps to that clip. If I turn that off, then you will find it won't snap to that clip at all, and it causes a bit of a problem, an issue in terms of lining that up. So we always have that checked, and then you can actually snap that too. Okay, I'll delete that. So next one is here is the linked selection. That means if you have an audio attached to your clip, then when you move one, you move the other. Move the video, the audio goes with it. If you uncheck that, when you move the video clip, only the visuals will move, the audio will stay the same. Here is for marks, which we add a marker. If you want to mark a particular area of the video clip, we'll use them later. And here we have a timeline display settings, which gives you a context menu when you click up. I strongly suggest you just leave it to the current default values. Next down here, we have a line which is padlock. So if I actually go to this one, click on that, it highlights blue, locks it, and now you see the clip has got these diagonal lines. There's nothing you can do. You can still play it, but you can't move it. You can't do anything with it. The next one tells you it's on track V1. Now Premiere Pro can have up to 99 video tracks and audio tracks. Track V1, video 1. Then you have the toggle the sync, which is on and off, which we go into later. And then the visual, if I highlight that, or you get the eye, similar to what's in Photoshop, to be honest. You hide that track, click it again, and you come on here. The audio tracks, again, they're similar to the actual video tracks. We've got A1, A2, and A3. A1, you have to mute the track. So if you didn't want to hear that audio, you can mute it. You can actually solo it if you wanted to by just having that single track. In other words, if you've got 3 audio tracks, you click on that solo track, only that A1 audio track will play. And then of course you've got the voiceover record if you wanted to actually record a voiceover. So they're the basics of this timeline which you need to know about. Over here to the left of it, you've got the tools, the selection tool, track selection tool, etc. The only two that you'll need to concern yourselves with when basic editing is the selection tool and the razor tool. Now the razor tool, you'll notice it tells you razor tool, and in brackets it's got C. This is the shortcut. The selection tool is V. So V and C on the keyboard, regardless of Mac or PC, will give you that actual shortcut. So we move along this clip, basic editing. So if I wanted to cut this clip, I would say I go along there, and as that our subject there looks down at the camera, and I wanted to click it just as she starts to move her head there, I could then go to to C, I'll get it right now, to C, which is the actual razor tool. Click on that. You'll see now the icon changes to a razor tool. If I line that up, see how that lines up, and straight away you get these arrows at the top and bottom. Click once, then press V, which then goes back to the selection tool, and now I have two clips. Very simple, very easy, and if I wanted to, I can now delete that and press the delete key and it's gone. But I would then have to move that over to the beginning. So I'll press Control Z a couple of times to bring that in. Again, the best way to do this, because you want this clip that you're going to keep, you want that up to the beginning. So what you would do is you would highlight that clip, you could right mouse click, go up to the top here, ripple delete, and click that, and you'll notice now that it deletes that first clip that we wanted to get rid of, and in that ripple delete it then brings that clip back up to the beginning. So I'll show you that one more time. One, highlight, right mouse click, go up to the top, ripple delete, and there we have our new clip. And if I play, I can play this clip by either going up here to the monitor, or I can play this clip in the timeline simply by pressing the space bar. So if I press the space bar on the keyboard, I can stop and start it. And I have that clip now in place. Now, whatever you do to the clips here in this timeline, it will not affect the clips in your bin here, in your project folder. They will stay the same. If I bring that same clip back in again, you'll notice, and I'll put that on another timeline above it, you'll notice that it's the exact length that I imported it in, not the length that I've actually edited. So you could actually use that clip again. Also, coming back to this project area in the video clip folder, you'll notice there's a new icon now and a new line, a new file. This is the sequence, which is this sequence here. You can name this sequence anything you like. So we could call this, we'll call this sequence 1, just for the sake of that. Now, the one thing I will do at this moment in time is I will then Control S or Command S, which is save. Now we're saving the project. So if it does crash on the computer, which it's not known, it's not unknown to happen, we will then be able to open up the project and still have this same. So going back to the editing here, that's one way of editing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring that out, and you'll notice I'm going to do something. If I go to the beginning of this clip, you'll notice a red bar come up. If I click and hold and then drag out, you'll notice that the clip has now been fully restored. I can also do the same to the other one, other end. I can now grab that and drag that in, and I've edited that clip. Again, drag it out, it's edited again. Now another way of editing is bringing your clip. So we'll do this one, we'll delete that, we'll bring this other clip in, drag that in. It doesn't need change sequence settings. This is a point. The sequence settings are different because the first one, if we go back here, you'll notice it's 30 frames a second, whereas this one's 60 frames a second. Different sequence settings, we don't want to change them, we'll keep them the same. Won't make any difference, but there we are, that's our new clip. The size is still 4K, so it doesn't matter. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move this bar and we're going to look at this here and also our picture, and we can now say, let's have a look, we want to edit there. I can now drag this and it snaps to that bar, and now I've edited it. Again, it doesn't affect the clip in here, and I've edited it. I can even shorten it down here as well, or I can actually say, no, that's not quite enough. I want to bring that back up to the beginning again. There we are. So that clip has now been edited. If I press the space bar, you'll notice that that's the edit I've got. Simple as that. Now that's these different editing techniques are really good, and they will actually help you in terms of choosing which way you want to actually edit. Of course, as I say, there are a number of other methods, but the razor blade and the dragging is two ways of doing this, and really I think, being basic, stick to those two ways of editing. You can get them to exactly that frame. If I wanted to edit this and I want this to be 3 seconds and 10 frames, I could actually use the arrow keys on the keyboard and move this along frame by frame till I get to the 10. I can then either drag that to that clip there, Control Z to undo, or Command Z, or I can go to the razor blade. I can then click that there, press V, highlight that and delete, and I've edited right on 3 seconds and 10 frames. Remembering that in this one there are 60 frames a second. Usually you would be 24 frames a second or 25 frames a second. There we go, we've dragged it out again and we're back to normal. That's basic editing. And Control Command Save, and it's down to you as to what you choose and the method and technique that you would like to choose.